Hey everybody out there in the land of YouTube, Annette Dion here. I am back. This is the Psychic News Network. I am the host and founder of the Psychic News Network. Welcome. On December 10th, it's Hump Day. I hope you had a good day. There's some crazy ass shit going on in America. It's the height of pathos. The HOP, the height of pathos. You're not going crazy. It's not you. It's not the way that you perceive things. It's not anything to do with any of your perceptions being off. This is the height of pathos. Let me see if I can show you what I just posted. You would think that we lived in a country that harbors terrorists. You would think that. So let me just go to my channel here. New phone, it's hard to find things. Speaking of phones, before I show you this picture, I just got an email from the police department, and they said somebody turned in my phone because I have a lost and found, and I stopped by there on Sunday when I lost my phone, and I had my good friend who used to have this apartment praying to St. Anthony, and I was praying to St. Anthony. In the meantime, I got a better situation because I got a brand new 17 phone, Super Max or something like that, Turbo Max. I don't know. It's pretty newfangled, and I got my own Wi-Fi, and I'm paying the same amount that I was paying for Comcast, Xfinity, Verizon, whatever the hell they are. So I just wanted to tell you all that because I got into a better situation due to a situation that seemed very unfortunate, and it reminds me, and I held close to my faith, that most people are good. And I really do feel like if we hold that in our consciousness, most people are good. For people for whom they end up not being good people, something has gone wrong. Something has gone askew. And then they're the height of pathos. So I'm happy about that. I'll go pick it up tomorrow. And now I don't have to worry that someone's, using all my stuff so much. But I don't need any counseling. I'm good. I'm safe. Back to the pathos in this country. I just posted this. And I wrote, no, it's not a terrorist attack. It's our country under Donald effing Trump. Effing remove him already. This is our United States military boarding an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Why? Because he thinks he's Putin. Who else attacks countries? Who else causes just, things that are, going smoothly to just be. I'm pretty sure these are unlawful orders. Okay. And the next item of pathos. Remember yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, I was asking the question about whether, I think it's the Geneva Convention that we opted out of under George W. And I'll look up the facts about that more, because I had asked the question, it was last night. Can the International Criminal Court indict these people that have taken over our government? Can they hold them accountable for these crimes against humanity that they're committing? whisking people off the street, breaking up families, taking away people's fathers and their little children, and rappelling down on an apartment building in the middle of the night, making people go out in the streets with their pajamas on or less. It's worse and worse, right? So last night I asked the question, can they be held accountable? Because I'm not sure what our status is. And lo and behold, what happens today? Lo and behold, what happens today is, it's my job to give you the news, is this. The Trump administration is pressuring the International Criminal Court, I shit you not, to grant immunity to Trump and his inner circle from potential war crimes prosecutions. Guilty much? An extraordinary move driven by deep concern among senior officials about possible legal exposure in 2029. If you ask me, I don't know why it would take that long. The way that, I'm going to keep saying it, is the height of pathos. I'm speechless. I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm speechless because what's running through my brain is being a suspect of a crime, right? You're being suspected of having committed a crime. So what you do, I'm just talking about the Epstein stuff and all the rest of it, the Russia hoax and the collusion hoax and all that BS and the election was stolen, all that, right? If you want to appear like you're innocent, you say, here, look at all the evidence, bring it on, you'll see how innocent I am. The height of pathos is doing everything in one's power and beyond that to hide the evidence. We've gotten so, like, in this quagmire in our collective brains that a lot of us forget every once in a while logic. Like, our brains get sort of working in a different way where I'm not saying that this is something we're conscious of, but to a small degree or a great degree for some people. They'll hear something like, the reason we have more COVID cases during COVID is because we're testing more. So we need to stop testing. So all these crimes that Dumpy, he's a chronic criminal. He can't stop criming. He literally gets a rush out of committing more and more crimes, right? So, in the face of that, pointing to all the people that are doing their job of keeping law and order, prosecutors, judges, Democrats, Republicans who follow the Constitution and the law, pointing to every single last one of them and saying they're the problem, this is a witch hunt. Which, incidentally, the whole witch hunt term is a total insult to all the people, all the women, particularly, mainly, who suffered under the actual witch hunts, who were actually innocent. So it's not that I'm telling you something that you don't know, because I'm fully aware that you know all this, but I'm just expressing my feelings because it makes me feel better, and I think that you can relate to what I'm saying. The only solution for America, sometimes it really is helpful to just break it down to one simple, in a nutshell, statement. The only solution is remove the regime. The only real chance for having a robust and better democracy is to remove the regime that's squatting in the White House. To remove the the Goebbels reincarnated from the White House and try him for crimes against humanity. And Kristi Noem and Tom Homans and Bovino and you know, Kash Patel will throw him in the mix too, and all the rest of them. The only solution is removal. The only solution is removal. The only solution is removal. Just keep chanting it in your brain. By the way, speaking of that kind of thing, send me an email at dion7@gmail.com. I'm compiling a plan for us to use our mental power to amp up the energy to remove the regime. It's just a mental thing. It's just using our thoughts. Thursday nights, that's tomorrow night, we have a guided meditation for Healed America. We do that every single week here. And I find it's really helpful to, when I have some time, to go to a Thursday night live stream from the past, bump it up to the 15-minute mark, because the first 15 minutes is just chit-chat. Do those meditations. They're really powerful. I think it's kind of miraculous, and I'm in a great amount of gratitude that we have been okay, that we're still here and we're still fighting the good fight, and you know, by the grace of the heavens or the angels or whatever, we're still here and we're still okay. So let's count our blessings. And most people are good. They return lost cell phones. Let's get into some cards. A judge in California, I believe it is, is continuing to declare it against the law for the National Guard to in California to be put on the streets to, I don't know, to to hide the Epstein files, to pretend like there's riots when there aren't. The height of pathos. So I'm pulling 3 cards about the collective energy right now. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit the thumbs up. Please hype me. Hit the hype button. Please join. Become a member. You cannot believe how many great things you get when you're a member, including a monthly psychic party. It's a live stream. Our country right now, through the feeling of helplessness and despair and being immobilized and paralyzed, this is our country right now. Yeah, we're feeling like that. We're watching what looks like terrorists rappelling onto a Venezuelan oil tanker. I don't know if they're Venezuelan, but you know, off the coast. We're watching them rappelling like terrorists, like pirating the ship. Yeah, that makes us feel like this. We're fit to be tied. That's kind of what that card. We're fit to be tied. But we are becoming strong, and the Page of Swords is our military. I actually feel that through this piracy operation, let's just call it that, Operation American Pirates, and they're criminals because they're obeying illegal orders. You don't need to be in the military to know that. To know that those are illegal orders. We're not in a war. Venezuela did not attack us. Most of us, I think, unless you're Venezuelan, weren't really thinking much about Venezuela before Dumpy started talking about the problem with Venezuela. And then started killing innocent fishermen. What the fucking fuck? In the face of this, we feel like this, but the strength of our resolve is huge. Is huge. And the Page of Swords is we the people and our military. Now, understand that they're not all going to obey illegal orders. They're not. They don't have to. They don't get in trouble for disobeying illegal orders. That's not how it works. They can get in grave trouble for obeying illegal orders. So I'm not in the military. I mean, my dad was in the Navy, but not in the war. So I'm not in from a military family per se. But I think that they would know that they will be supported for disobeying illegal orders. So let's pull some other cards and see what's gonna happen. And in the face of that. What's going to happen in the face of this piracy? I mean, he's Putin. He's obeying Putin's orders. Not to mention, they want the oil in Venezuela. What are we, Oh, global climate change is a hoax. Yeah, right. How many? This is like the science has been out there since the 1970s on global climate change. What's going to happen as a result? Here's what I get. This is about how discontent. This is discontent and boredom. I guess you could say we're bored with this this Donnie show. We're going to stand our ground in the face of this. And I guess so is Venezuela. The regime wants to be dismissed of their crimes against humanity. They're pleading with the ICC. Oh, please don't hold us accountable. I don't know what kind of bubble they're in. Someday I'll figure it out, but it's fucking bizarre. Anyway, the sacral chakra is about kind of creating a solution, coming from a really passionate place. Standing our ground is what happens. Let's ask about, I mean, there are people in our military, not only are we horrified, I'm horrified by this. I feel like I'm watching Al-Qaeda pirating a ship. So in the face of this, I do feel like there are members of the military that are absolutely horrified. I mean, a lot of them have resigned. So yeah, I'm getting a strong that the rest of the military is gonna stop this. I'm not really sure how. I can look into it a little bit more. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, I woke up to the news that Keg's Breath was articles of impeachment were being presented for Keg's Breath. So let's first read on our military in the face of this piracy. Pretty amazed that they went ahead with that, and I have a question mark in my head about how we get to know that those were actually United States. I guess it was the Navy soldiers. Because maybe they were plants. Were those was that military that boarded that ship? Were they 100% military United States? That's not a yes. That's not a yes. I don't know how many there were. Were some of them what you might call mercenaries? Nope, not quite. What the hell? Were some of them Russian? Were some of those soldiers Russian? The pendulum is not giving me a straight answer, and that just shows me it's a very complicated situation. and I feel like multiple countries are involved. I tell people sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. I have to kind of get into it a little bit more, but it feels like it feels like way more influence with that pirate attack. And I'd like to know what else has happened through the course of the day. It feels like there's more influence. It's not just the United States that rappelled down onto that boat. So I'm going to pull 3 cards about our military in the face of these crimes. And you know, I would think that the red flags would go up in the minds of our soldiers, that the ICC is being just mentioned, that's being like introduced into conversation. That Dumpy is seeking to be, he'll be gone by then. I mean, he won't be walking the planet by then. But I would think if I was a soldier, I would be like, ooh, I don't want to be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court. I'm not saying that they would. You know, crimes against humanity definitely would fall into that category. But to just be reminded that there could be dire consequences for them for life if they do such things as they're doing. So in the face of that, yeah. The 5 of Pentacles, oppression, yeah, I do see it's hard for our military, but I see some grace being offered for them to do the right thing. Let's pull one more card. I kind of feel like a gentler way will prevail. You know, like distinguished. It's I hate to say this, but here it is. I'm asking about our military in the face of this taking over an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. I don't know if it was, there's so much news going on. I don't know if it was from Venezuela or just off the coast and from somewhere else. But our military is facing oppression and strife. Pray for our military. It's got to be really challenging. Compromised military. Grace indicates this really feels like an understanding, almost like comforting and reassuring message coming from, you know, upright members of the military, that they will be supported by their fellow Americans and their fellow soldiers in doing the right thing, not obeying orders to do the wrong thing. So I know I'm going on about this, but it feels extremely important. So the Princess of Cups gives me the sense of grace coming in for our military, understanding how much stress they're under. I'm going to ask this. I know we've been under attack. We're definitely under attack. It's a different kind of a war. But I've wondered, I've had the disturbing question on my mind, because we know that Fox was being played on the military bases for a long time, and that finally got shut down. This was months and months ago. Maybe longer. So this question has been on my mind for some time now. Is the Kremlin interfering with the United States military's minds through a psyop? Oh, okay, I get a no. I'll go with that for the time being. My guides are saying cooler heads will prevail. Let's read on Keg's Breath. We need some deviant, ugly cards. Do I have any on the table here? I might not. I do. I hope you guys are enjoying your holiday decorating, or however you celebrate. Christmas will be here before we know it. Is Hanukkah here already? I think it might be. I'm looking at my calendar. Hang on a second, let me check. Today's the 10th. Hanukkah ends on the 22nd, so we're in it. Anyway, happy holiday season. Keg's breath. Any of my Jewish viewers, let me know when Hanukkah started. And thank you. Keg's breath. The strength of the case to remove him. I'm getting some strength cards tonight. That's good. The strength of the case to remove him is definitely there. The 8 of Wands, it's going to happen quickly. This is a rebuilding card. All right, so let's ask this. I really don't understand why he's still in that position. I don't. I might have to do a deeper dive. Is the reason that he has not been let go, is it because of political pressure? Yeah. Yeah, strong yes. What kind of political pressure? Oh, hang on. Let me sip some of my herbal tea out of this lovely mug. And remind you that these are for sale. They make great gifts. And also to remind you that if you ordered one and you didn't receive it, you need to reach out to me because it was going to the wrong email inbox, the orders. Who's pressuring who to not have removed Keg's breath yet? Is it Trump? Is he pressuring with death threat kind of things? Not totally that. I'm working on getting to the bottom of why Keg's breath is still there. Will he be impeached? Will he be impeached? Yeah. He'll be impeached. I heard somebody today saying he won't be impeached because the Republicans won't impeach it. Republicans won't impeach him. And I was like, I don't know. Rand Paul's not happy about what's going on, and others. They want this. They want him investigated, and I'm sure they want him out of there. So, as if there's not enough to keep up with, the just fills your brain with too much. I heard this today. And we know this is directly from Putin and the Kremlin. They're trying to get out of NATO. Getting out of NATO would be like a death sentence. And I don't mean to startle anyone. Isolating the United States of America and pissing off all of our allies and giving them a sense that they can't ever trust us again. But I always think about Nazi Germany and how Germany came back, but this isn't going to go that far. I have no idea why anybody would be proposing that we get out of NATO unless it's coming from the Kremlin. And I heard that Thomas Massey was spearheading that. the height of pathos. Are there death threats involved? Yeah. In other words, if you don't lead the charge to whomever, if you don't lead the charge to get the United States out of NATO, your life is in danger. Is that the situation for Massey? Okay, understand that he's already spearheaded the effort to get the Epstein files completely released, and that's by December 19th, which is the new moon in Sagittarius, which is when 3i Atlas is closest that it's going to get to our planet, which is going to emit cosmic dust and debris that will affect us, no matter how far out there it is. Excuse me. Every time I see somebody do an about face in this government that we're in, like Massey, who's all about release the Epstein files and, you know, turning on Trump, and then turning around, and I can think of other instances where this has happened, and then turning around and being like J.D. Vance, for instance, you know, like, Trump is a Nazi, blah, 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 and all being so totally anti-Trump, never Trump. And the complete turnaround, Marco Rubio, you know, you can think of a whole bunch of them. So now Massey's like, he was, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. And then isn't it odd that then we hear that he's spearheading that we need to get out of NATO. Now, I haven't read about this too much. I just caught wind of it quickly. And, you know, it's a punch to the gut. It's like, what the fuck? This has been 80 years of peace, relative peace. And we're the only country that benefited really in a huge way from being members of NATO after we were attacked on 9/11. And we screwed that up too. So Massey turns around and now he's like, oh, we got to get out of NATO, which is direct orders from the Kremlin. So let's read on that. Let's read the new winter solstice cards. I'm taking donations. I just have to say that. This can feel like a lot of work. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. Taking donations. I dropped a card, but it was a goddess card. Hang on. It was a goddess card from last night. Okay. Well, we have to ask the pendulum this. Is the United States, are we slated to, does the trajectory for the United States look like we will get out of NATO? The pendulum started moving to no before I even finished the question. Cooler heads will prevail. The guides keep saying that to me. Cooler heads will prevail. Stay cool. Stay cool, my babies. Conan O'Brien used to say that. Stay cool, my babies. I'm gonna read on that. Read on NATO. I mean, we've been buds. We've been friends with our allies in Europe. What the hell? It's all part of the change. It's all part of the big transition to the higher energy. All their crimes are right in front of us, and do yourself a favor and don't watch any of what Dumpy was doing at the affordability rallies that he's having now. Didn't he say that the word affordability was a Democrat hoax? The horrible, horrible things that he was saying. I mean, it's beyond what I could ever imagine somebody saying in horribleness. But before I read on NATO and what's going to happen with us in NATO, So last night, because I'm off of Netflix now. I hadn't even talked about the Netflix thing. Warner Brothers merging, or, you know, like, what a mess. Jared Kushner's involved. Dumpy is involved. As soon as I got an email about the Netflix merging with CBS, I immediately canceled my subscription to Netflix. The whole thing felt totally slimy and obviously corrupt. So I canceled it right away. Now, mind you, I don't watch Hulu. I got off of that because of the conglomerates, and I got off of Amazon completely. No Amazon Video, no anything. It kind of leaves me with nothing but YouTube. But that's my long way of saying that last night I was watching an old movie from 2000 with Meg Ryan and Diane Keaton. God rest her soul. We lost her this year. And Walter Matthau, who was playing an aging, grumpy old man with pretty bad dementia. And I thought it was interesting, because in this movie it's called Hanging Up. And I think I fell asleep and didn't see it. It was an okay movie. It wasn't great. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that Walter Matthau was playing the elderly, grumpy man. And he was being horrible. Just horrible. Just saying the most horrible things. Like saying to Meg Ryan's character, saying that when she was born, her mother said, "Let's throw that one out." Like that. And all I could think of was Trump. And how he goes to the bottom of the freaking barrel of slime to dish out the most creatively heinous insults and attacks imaginable. My point is, that's a sign of dementia too. Not that he doesn't do that anyway, but it is a sign of dementia. Meanwhile, NATO. NATO right now is cutting their losses. NATO right now has given up on the United States and hoping for us to come back around, because I have the hangman. But they've given up on relying on us. Today I was reflecting on what happened to me when Putin invaded Ukraine in 2022. I had a lot of viewers. I had a lot of, I was building up my subscription, my number of subscribers. And when Putin invaded Ukraine, I absolutely lost my you-know-what. I could not believe he did it. And I was so upset about it on a deep, deep, deep level. I even remember the night before when there was somebody there. We're at some kind of a conference, and I wish I knew who this was yelling at one of the diplomats from Russia. Really, really, really upset. Do not do this. I can remember right where I was sitting and just being like dumbfounded. And I stopped doing videos on my channel for about 2 months, because that's how huge it felt to me. It was like the weight of the world. I just could feel it. And you know, 5 years later, 4 years later, I never would have guessed that we'd still be in this. And I never would have really, because I think it's just, was hard to fathom that it would last this long, that Putin would just keep going and going and going, because he's like the Terminator, and that it would lead to, now we're on the precipice, right? Which is why I feel a little bit of hope that the cosmic energies are coming in. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but we'll do more of that later, tomorrow. Anyway, and NATO is like, oh my God, that's why I brought that up. How profoundly it impacted me that I felt unable to even read on the news, to even do a PNN. for about 2 months. You can see if you go back on my timeline, there's a couple months missing. And during that time, I lost all my viewers. Never really quite recovered from it. NATO is cutting their losses. NATO is hoping we come back around. And we will. We will. Remember what I said. The regime has to be removed. And democracy needs to be put back in place. Do not ever make it a rule with yourself that you'll never lose your faith. Promise yourself, promise us as a collective to never lose your faith. The Knight of Cups is here, and that indicates that there's going to be a rallying. The guy looks like George Washington. This year, follow your heart and with sincerity and grace. It feels like this is a reckoning, but the good prevails. There is a certain point that NATO has to cut their losses, but my pendulum said we're not leaving NATO. So, I think I'll leave it there. But it's never over, so I'll be back tomorrow. Let me remind you that Thursday nights we have our guided meditation for Healed America. It's from 7 to 7:30 Eastern Time. Please make a point to join us for that. I'll get the announcement ready. I'll get it set up for tomorrow night, so you'll get a notification if you have your notification bell on. I know it's tough. That's why we're here. That's why I do these videos all the time, to help us to get through. Tomorrow night is a live stream, and yeah. We're in this together. Keep praying, keep intending. So thumbs up, subscribe, hit the hype button, share if you can, and I'll see you soon. Namaste. Be well.